Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Diaries of the Working Couple. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Chris.
And the ancient Greeks believed we had a vein that went from our left ring finger directly to our heart. And that's why we wear our engagement and wedding rings on our left ring finger.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Obviously, since then it has been found that we don't have a vein that goes directly from there to our heart. So it's very out of date, but that's why we wear our wedding rings and engagement rings on our left ring finger, and the wedding ring is supposed to be inside the engagement ring, so it's closer to your heart.
Interesting. I didn't even know that an engagement or a wedding ring goes on your left hand for years.
Until we got engaged.
I probably knew a little bit before then, but
real close.
yeah, pretty close.
So Chris, what are you drinking?
I am drinking, oh man, now that you're looking at me, I have so much pressure on me. It's from Boag's Distillery. It is their salted caramel whiskey, and it's delicious. I could drink it by the bottle.
Boag's Distillery is in, I want to say, North Carolina. It's in Emerald Isle. It's in one of the Carolinas.
You should know this.
Listen, there's a reason I didn't go into geography for my career.
Same. My geography knowledge is so bad. Please don't ask me where any countries are, because I won't know.
Countries I'm iffy on. States I know down pat. I could tell you where each state is.
I could give an educated guess. I can't guarantee that I'll know where every state is, but
That's fair.
the Northeast always bothers me, like Vermont and
Connecticut.
and Connecticut. No, not Connecticut.
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. Yeah, I know. I could flip flop those. You know.
That's because they're like the yin and yang of.
They're pretty much the same, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Just don't ask anyone from either of those states.
No biggie. So, exciting news this week. Jamie is now an Apple enthusiast.
All right, I think that's a little overzealous. I can't say I'm an Apple enthusiast, but I now have an iPhone, AirPods, and an Apple Watch.
Yes, and this was by choice. And I think we talked about this last time we were recording, or I think when we put the phone order in, we talked about it for a bit.
We did, and we talked about, I really liked Android because it was able to be personalized, and I could just kind of change my themes and everything on the mood I was having and whatever phase of life I was in, if I was in my emo phase or if I liked cupcakes or whatever.
Jamie's very into customization.
I very much enjoy it because I get very bored relatively quickly when it comes to even the most mundane things, like how furniture is set up. I love moving furniture around. I like repainting things. I like new, exciting, just things that keep me engaged.
Well, now you have plenty of opportunity for keeping things customized, because the new iOS supports customizing home screens and all that stuff with all the widgets and backgrounds and
Widgets and
whatever.
gadgets.
And your Apple Watch has, I don't know, probably 150 different faces you can choose from, and you can customize each one. So you'll be set for a little while.
Yes, it will be fun.
It was a very Christmas-like day.
It was a very Christmas-like for me.
I messaged Cyrus saying how well the transition went when we activated it on Xfinity Mobile. And yeah, now I lost my train of thought because
Can you hear lava chewing?
I hear lava doing something over there, and she totally made me lose my train of thought. Oh, I was saying that today you opened a brand new iPhone and set it up, got a set of AirPod Pros and a brand new Apple Watch, and I was like, this is gonna just beat out whatever Christmas is this year, because you'll still have the holiday type mood at Christmas, but in terms of gifts, I mean, you can't really beat out today.
But you can, though. So I feel as though it's different when it comes to Christmas, because Christmas, I feel like people put more thought into things. Whereas, like, yes, I got this new thing. It's so expensive. It's so cool, which is awesome. But at the same time, it's not like we got it because I've been saying how much I wanted it and I just had an old flip phone. And you know what I mean? It's not like it was one of those things where you thought about it and you're like, she would really like this. I'm going to surprise her with this. This was like, I don't know. It's different around the holidays.
I will be returning the Apple Watch and iPhone back to the store after this recording.
I'm just saying expensive doesn't mean better in terms of gifts.
That is true.
And so I wanted to make that clear because you said this is going to beat out Christmas, and that's not always true. I wanted to make sure we were on the same page for that.
Yeah, and once we get the whole fam bam here for Christmas, then like, you know, there's a certain mood that comes along with that as well.
Yes, that is also true.
And you just, you know, there's nothing better than that feeling.
Yeah, I like having everyone around for Christmas. I don't know. It's what we never really got the chance to have everyone, like all sides of the family together because
you
of
mean
distance.
my side?
No.
Oh, your side, like your dad's side.
Yeah, we never
Okay.
got Grammy and Pappy and Grandma and Pa together. Shit, I couldn't even get them together for the wedding. Okay,
Yeah,
so
seriously.
it's like we never really had that, and knowing that your parents and my parents get along and everyone meshes well, being able to host and have your parents be able to come over and hang out for a little bit with my family, it's like, for me, it's really nice because I have my family in Maryland that'll come up, but like your parents, and they've become my second family up here. And like I'll call your mom on my days off or text her and be like, hey, you want me to swing by lunch or something like that? Like stuff I would do with my own mom at home. So I don't know. It's nice to be able to have everyone together.
For sure.
So you never asked me what I was drinking.
I didn't even get there yet. Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely didn't ask you, and I definitely wasn't going to.
Wow.
Because usually it's like a Coke
Wow.
or a water or something carbonated so that you get a few
Well,
good
it is
pauses.
carbonated.
There you go. So what are you drinking?
Thank you so much for asking. I appreciate it.
I mean, I was going to transition perfectly from when you were saying that the wedding couldn't bring them together to talking about weddings. But we'll take a little pause here to talk about what you're drinking.
And everyone, this is what I deal with on a daily basis. Welcome to my
Oh,
world.
come on. Come on.
No, so I'm drinking we were down in Maryland this past weekend. Yes, this past weekend. And while we were down there, my mom and I went to a liquor store, and I found the liquor store we were at had a bunch of different like canned cocktails and everything. And the one is from Heavy Seas, which is a local brewery down in Maryland. And they is like an 8-pack with a bunch of different cocktails in there. And the one they had is a watermelon crush. And that's what I'm trying. When I cracked it open before we started recording, I could smell the watermelon. It wasn't overpowering. It's not like sickly sweet, but you could tell that there was watermelon in it. I don't know. I think it's good.
So you've had a watermelon crush that actually has real watermelon in it. How does that compare?
Less watermelon-y.
Yeah.
But it is good. It's not very.
Usually with the crush,
It's very light.
Usually with the crush, you kind of get like, it's not pulp, but you know, you get like a
It's
little
the
bit
fleshy
of,
part of the fruit.
yeah, you usually get some type of the flesh of the fruit. But yeah, well, I'm glad you're enjoying your drink.
Thank you.
Why do you look so sad?
Nothing. No, it's all good.
All right. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about planning a wedding.
Yes, this past weekend. So we've had a couple weddings recently. We had one this past weekend. We had one the weekend before. We've had bachelorette parties and showers and all that kind of stuff. And we have one more coming up in December that will conclude our 2-year run of wedding season, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. And like planning a wedding is a huge event. So
It is a lot. There's a lot that goes into it, and you don't realize what all goes into it until you start planning. And trying to figure out where to start is a mess. Like, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. You were pretty on top of this stuff because you are a planner. You and your family are huge planners.
We do plan a lot.
So, if I was marrying somebody else that like was not in the planning and I had to do most of the planning, it would have turned out to be a disaster because it would have been like probably 2 months beforehand I would start trying to plan it. Nope, it wouldn't have went anywhere.
But it's one of those things. If you are marrying someone who is not a planner, you likely would not have had anywhere near as much stuff and as many people and everything that we did. You may have had a small courthouse wedding or just a small backyard thing.
Possibly. You always say that if we didn't have a big wedding that I would have just got married at a courthouse, and I don't believe that necessarily because my parents talk about their wedding and how much fun it was and they got both sides of the family together and everything, and I feel like I would have did that either way. I don't know if I would have went as extravagant as our wedding was.
That's fair.
But still, like, and I don't think we broke the bank either. I mean, I think that we were probably in like a median area for a bigger size wedding.
Yeah, we were able to be cost conscious where we could, but also it helped that my dad helped out with paying with the wedding.
Yes, for sure. Oh, here we go. Here we go. First burp of the episode.
Wow, you make me sound so ladylike.
Yeah, well, I just the carbonated beverages always work out in your favor.
But they're so good.
So anyway, I think that this is probably going to be a multi-part episode.
It's going to.
Because
the reason I know that is because Chris has printed out a checklist for wedding like preparation, and is that 3 columns?
No, it's only 2, and then the right side is for notes. But we had a ton of these wedding checklists when we were planning our wedding, and then once you're done with the actual wedding, you either give away or you throw out pretty much all of the stuff that you used to prepare for the wedding because you never have to do it again, hopefully. So, I just went on Google Images because I didn't even want to click on any websites. I just wanted to look at the pictures and found a checklist that looked relatively straightforward. And I think that we'll just run through some of these things and then we could talk about the stories around how we came to our decisions around a lot of this stuff. And some of this stuff I'm even fuzzy on just looking at this. So I think that they were probably more of your decisions.
Possibly. Some of them. So it depends on where you get married, what kind of vendors you need and all that kind of stuff. So like
this is starting way out.
Like what?
Picking your date.
Picking our date. You didn't care, I don't believe.
Yeah, you're correct. Except I was pushing for a very specific day. Yeah, because
he was pushing for our birthday because we were born on the same day, and he's like, "That's perfect. If we get married on that day, then we don't have to worry about remembering any other date." And I said, "Absolutely not," because
it's a winter.
It's a winter
birthday.
date, and my parents got married in a snowstorm. My grandparents got married in a snowstorm. Your grandparents got married in a snowstorm.
And look at how well that's worked out.
I'm not saying it hasn't worked out. I'm just saying that I don't want to get married in a snowstorm. Plus, I wanted to get married on the water in Maryland. I want to get married on the Chesapeake Bay. And it would not have made a lot of sense for us to get married in January if I wanted to have an outdoor wedding on the water.
That is true. Though that didn't really work out either, but
okay,
kind of.
We'll get there. We'll get there, sir.
Okay, so how did you come up with our date?
So our date,
and you don't have to say the actual date.
I originally wanted to get married on our dating anniversary, right around there. So that would put it in fall. That would have put it in September. And I when we got engaged in October, and
Was that pre-pandemic?
we got engaged pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
We got engaged the October before COVID,
Okay.
which meant, additionally, all of this planning, a large amount of this planning was either over video chat, via phone, email, stuff like that. I did not do a lot of in person, and when we were in person, it was all social distancing or it had to be outside.
Yep.
So I wanted to get married in September. We got engaged in October, and so that meant it was either going to be less than a year, like almost less than a year to get married, or 2 years. Like a 2-year span.
That's right. I remember this. And like, that just seemed either too quick or way too long. Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't want to get married in the middle of summer because that's going to be so blessed hot, especially if we're outside. And then I was talking to my mom about it because I think they got married during a winter holiday weekend. So there was like an extra like vacation day or something on that Monday, so that they like it helped with travel. And that's what got me thinking when we should get married. So we ended up getting married Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
But that's what made me think of that, because I was like, okay, well, that'll give our like family in Pittsburgh time to travel an extra day where it's not like. And the other thing was, I remember the weekend we got engaged, we were at Ryan and Jamie's wedding.
Yep.
And that was a Friday night wedding. Now, as much as I didn't want a Friday night wedding, but I really enjoyed that Saturday when we got home from the wedding, we still had an entire day
To get
left
that
in the
proposal
weekend.
done.
Well, to clean the apartment.
Yeah.
But we had that. We still had our full weekend. It wasn't a full weekend of partying and then nursing the hangover and then back to work on Monday. So I really liked that. I like having like those 2 days. So I was like, oh, that's helpful. And that, I think that's how I ended up on the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. And my first question to all of our venues was, is there an extra charge for holiday weekends? And there was not, which was helpful.
Yeah. Did we only see 2 venues? I think we
So
only
we
saw
went
2.
and saw 2 venues.
We had 3 planned.
We didn't have.
We did. You canceled one. And I was already leaning towards our venue because there was one that was way more expensive.
There was one. I don't think we had that planned.
Oh.
I don't think I had planned that one because so when I was looking at all the venues, I got it narrowed down to 3. 2 of them we went to go visit, but the third one, I think
you were in contact with their coordinator.
I was in contact with the coordinator, but they were so much more expensive. And looking at the guest list that I wanted, it would have been way out of our price range.
Yeah. So that's a good transition, actually. So, next on the list is announcing that you're actually going to have a wedding or whatever, which it was kind of cool after we got engaged, right? I thought that it was special that on the day that we got engaged, we were able to see everybody from your immediate family and my immediate family. Well, except for your brothers, right? Were they at home? I think Zach was already gone by then.
Jake may have been home. I don't know. I don't think either of them were.
Anyway, we got to see her parents and her grandparents.
And your parents and grandparents, which was nice.
Yeah, so...
Zach was home because he was the one who was helping us take the pictures.
That's right. So that was one of my motivations. Well, first of all, when I got the ring in my hand, I was like, I'm going to explode if I don't hand this to you soon.
Why? Was it because you just really wanted to marry me or you didn't want to lose it?
One, I thought you were going to accidentally find it, which you almost did.
Fair.
Also, I don't know, once it was in my hand, it was so real. And I was like, I just want to do this. I want to be engaged now to this woman. So, the plan didn't go as planned, but we got the proposal in. You said yes,
I did say yes.
even though your mouth was half full.
Listen, I nodded. Okay, that counts.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful moment. And then we
Yes.
got to go see my grandparents, my parents, and your parents and grandparents.
Yeah, we went and saw Grandma and Pa, and then we went to Mom and Dad's.
So,
Because they had the little Bubba.
and your dad knew it was coming anyway because I
Yes.
asked for his permission.
Mm-hmm.
So we got announcing the wedding kind of done.
We didn't have an engagement party. I know, like, some people have an engagement
That's,
party.
that's next on the list.
I'm psychic. Some people have an engagement party. That was not. I know Karen and Christian had one. I know Mary and Dominic had one. That was not something we did. I don't.
There's a bridal shower for a reason. That's like when you're supposed to celebrate.
So
that.
originally I wanted to have all of the groomsmen and bridesmaids like together for a party so everyone got to know each other before the wedding. But then once COVID hit, everything was thrown out the window.
Yeah. Yeah, so the engagement party didn't do it. Wedding type, if it was formal or informal, I think we both knew that it was going to be formal.
Yeah, we weren't doing like a backyard thing, but we also weren't like black tie event.
I'm going to skip choosing colors because that kind of has to do with the venue stuff. Setting a budget. I think this is a hard topic for, I feel like, some people. Like for me, I wanted both of our families to be there. So it was probably going to be a large wedding. But I didn't necessarily care much about the extra stuff, the flowers or whatever decorations. Food was included at our venue, so we didn't even have to think about that.
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I know a lot of people aren't in this boat, but with my dad helping pay for some of the wedding, it really helped me as the bride be able to be like, this is what I want. And then like after my dad told us how much he was contributing, Chris and I sat down and we're like, okay, we're going to contribute roughly the same amount. And we like had our own like account set up. So every time we got paid, it was putting money away into that account. So that way Dad said he would help with the venue and everything. And since a lot of stuff was included in the venue, that was a good chunk of the price. However, all the extraneous stuff when it came to gifts, when it came to, like you said, the decorations, the flowers, the centerpieces.
Like the gifts, the photographer, the videographer, stuff like that, I would have brought that budget way down if I was in charge and, the other person in the wedding, which was you, but if you didn't care and I was in charge of that stuff, I would have probably chopped all that budget without knowing the results, right? Like we have to bring ourselves back to when we were planning it. I probably would have chopped a lot of that budget and, hired a lower price photographer, maybe not even get a videographer.
We wouldn't have had one. I told you we were doing a videographer and you were like, but do we need one? And I was like, yes. We are doing that because I watched my mom's wedding tape until it broke. So I knew I wanted to have our wedding tape.
Yeah. So overall, I think that, between the two of us, we came up with a good compromise for a budget.
Yeah.
I still think that it might have been a little higher than it had to be, but it turned out to be a beautiful day, so I can't complain. And like, luckily, we both we both have good jobs. We weren't set back super bad from the wedding.
Yeah, that is true.
So,
I do know
we did do a lot of saving.
We did a lot of saving.
Like we did like a year and 3 months of setting a substantial part of our paychecks, both of ours, to the side for the wedding. But we were able to pay for it up front. We didn't have to do. I've heard of people taking loans and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely not. We did not have to do that. We were able to pay for everything right then and there. And once the wedding was done, the only thing my mom had to worry about were like the people who we didn't get a chance to give them their tips, but like the vendors, like I think the string trio that we had, I think they left before we were able to tip them.
I didn't even take that into consideration. I didn't know that you tip, like transportation people for a wedding. Like you're hiring them as transportation. I didn't think that that's a tippable service.
Some services are, some of them are not. It depends on the service. But
Do you tip the florist? I don't think you do.
I don't think so. I don't remember, but there's like a whole list of who you do tip and who you don't tip. So
Okay. Yeah, well, I don't have that on my list here, my checklist from Google Images. But, okay, so we knew that we were coming in with a decent budget. Guest list. I feel like this was pretty easy for the most part.
it was easy for the most part.
We extended invites to both sides of our families, our extended families, pretty much stopping that at first cousins, right?
Yes.
And then we invited our friends and coworkers and stuff.
I think so. The guest list was easy, but it also wasn't, because I know. So we started an Excel sheet, right?
Yeah.
We did Google Sheets, which was nice because we had a column for groom side and a column for bride side. And so I wrote down my family, he wrote down his, I wrote down my friends and coworkers, he wrote down his, but then we sent it off to our parents. Or we asked, I know I sent mine off to the parents. I don't know if you sent yours off to your mom or if you just talked to them. But that way they could add whoever they wanted to include. It's usually not a bunch of extra people, but, a couple people from work or someone that you may have forgotten. They throw that on there, which was definitely helpful. And then it was easier because then we got to work from there. But that was like close to 200 people, I think.
Yeah, I think that the general rule is that if you're planning on having a wedding of X amount of people, then I mean, I don't know what the actual number is, but usually invite a little bit more than that. And then you get a lot of people that say no or whatever, and it usually ends up at or below what you were planning on having.
Yeah, I think they say anywhere between 10 and 20%, depending on if it's on a holiday, during the holiday season, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, some people might have, if it's on a holiday, some people might have vacations already planned and stuff like that. And if they're not super close to you or like immediate family or something, then it might be more of a hassle for them to cancel their plans than to come to your wedding. So yeah, I think the guest list was pretty easy. There was a few conflicts, like where I purposely left a few people out, and then my mom added them in, and then we had some arguments about that.
That is true. I didn't even think about that because we had a lot of back and forth. We had a 21 and over wedding. There were only 2 exceptions, and the one was in the wedding. So there were definitely conflicts when it came to people having children and wanting to bring them, and us having to be like, no, you're not allowed to. Yeah,
that was sad because I definitely wanted my cousin to be there, and she just had a baby at the time. And then we were being strict about you can't bring your children. So then I told her that she couldn't bring her child. And then anyway, at the wedding, there were some people who brought their children, which, it happens. Some situations come up. You can't get out of them, but and then we also had a few people who just couldn't make it at all. So I probably would have relaxed that rule a little bit more if I went back in time and knew the situation.
And that's fair, but also after we've been to weddings where there are small children, and there have been times when children were like crying and screaming through the vows, and I didn't want that.
Yeah.
And that's the I don't want to say problem with children, but that's one of the things you have to think about, because especially if your wedding's being recorded and all that kind of stuff, they're just not, you don't know how children are going to act. You don't know if they're going to be good, if they're going to sleep through the whole thing, if they're going to scream and cry. And I don't know, I didn't want that. Plus, it was, if you let one in, you have to let all of them in. And
Yeah, exactly. We were trying to be very strict because if you make exceptions for certain people and not others, then that could also cause conflict, and we don't want to have that.
and we had so many people invite. A lot of our cousins have kids, and it's just trying to figure out, like, okay, if we do this for this family, then we got to do it for this family, and that would have greatly increased our guest list alone,
Yeah,
just
and
letting under 21 in.
so I know that there are other people that I know who have gotten married, and they actually refuse to have their parents help at all financially, so that way they can do exactly what they want with the guest list. And and then they, you can't feel guilty at that point because you're the one throwing the event, you're the one supporting the event financially. It's like you don't really owe your parents.
You don't owe
You don't
anyone
owe
anything.
anyone anything.
It's your day, and you get to call the shots. But that just makes it a little more, when you do have parents helping for things, it just makes it a little more difficult, because then you kind of do.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean it is what it is. But I think that we dealt with minimal struggles with requests on guest lists and stuff like that, but I can see other families potentially struggling, and maybe that's an option for somebody who doesn't want to deal with that struggle, and if you can support it financially, then just pay for it yourself,
Absolutely. Do
not
your
feel
own
guilty,
thing.
and then keep it rolling. The next thing on the list: bridesmaids, groomsmen, ushers, ring bearers, flower girls, and the officiant.
All right. So before Chris and I even got engaged, he had like mentioned, like, oh, like when you get married, do you like, I don't even remember. I think we were at a wedding or something. And he was like, well, when I get married, I'm going to have my 4 groomsmen.
No, hold on. That is a lie. Burnt. Stop. Hold the phone. So, yeah, pause. Pause button. So that is not true. Well, I don't know what event you're referencing when we were talking about that, but when we were engaged and we were talking about groomsmen, I gave you 2 options. Those 2 options were, one, it would be my brother is my best man, and then your 2 brothers. So we would have 3 groomsmen. Or the second option was those 3 plus Cyrus, Brian, and Jason. And, they're all very good friends of mine, and I didn't want to leave either of them out. So it was either the 3 or they get packaged together and it's the 6. And that's how I told you what I wanted. And I think that, I don't know, you tell your opinion on that situation.
Well, so when I know you wanted all 4, Barry, Ryan, Cyrus, and Jason. I know you wanted all 4 of them in your wedding party. You were in all of their weddings, minus Barry. Barry was your best man. He's your brother. It's kind of and I didn't want to be the person that was like, no. Because I think that's kind of rude, especially since you were there for all of their big days and you want them to be there for yours. You guys are all really good friends. I don't think that was fair for me to be like, no. It just sucked for me because I love my brothers. My brothers and I are very close, so I definitely wanted them as groomsmen. But that meant I had to find 6 people that I liked.
You have plenty of friends.
I do have friends.
So finding 6 of them probably wasn't that hard.
It was not hard. Finding my 6. But I'm a very big fan of symmetry. I like things being even.
Yep.
So when we had 6, I was like, okay, I have to have 6 on my side.
Now, I love your brothers, but what if when we were talking about this at the time, I said that I didn't want your brothers in the wedding
I
or
th-
in my wedding groomsman party thing?
I would have we would have had to have a serious discussion about it because I'd want to know why. Like,
Yeah.
did they do something serious to offend you or something?
Because
Do you
I
guys
could
not
see
get
this
along?
being a point in contention in other families.
Absolutely.
And stuff.
And I know Jake even said he's like, "Well, I don't have to be in the wedding." I don't know if he like said that to be nice or if he said that because he was trying to get out of it. I'm really not sure. But I do know that if for some reason if they said something, did something or whatever where you did not want them as a groomsman, if it was something that I was able to come to terms with, like they were just constantly disrespecting you, like when I didn't know about it or anything, then I would obviously I would try to respect that. And because it's yours and my day. You know what I
True.
mean?
Yeah.
It's our day and it doesn't make sense to make you feel uncomfortable on our day. But at the same time, I would not have let my brothers just not be a part of the wedding.
Yeah.
Jake probably still would have read one of the readings. Zach probably would have done something different.
officiant now.
Yeah, he could officiate.
He's a pro at that now.
But speaking of officiants, I know that was a whole thing for us. I know some people have just gone with whatever your venue offers. Some people have just had friends become ordained or cousins become ordained so they can marry the couple. When I say we, I mean I decided that we were going to get married so that it was recognized by the Catholic Church. My reasoning behind this, there was a couple. The biggest thing for me was I knew that my parents and my grandparents would have probably had a heart attack if we didn't get married in the church. My grandparents more than my parents. They're very traditional. Doesn't matter because they didn't show up. But beside the point.
Got him.
But I knew that if I wasn't married in the church, especially not being married, getting married in a church, I didn't think I would get their approval. So I wanted to make sure we had that. Additionally, I know when I was getting confirmed way back when, I was talking to my mom. I was like, Mom, why do I have to do this? Like, I don't even know what I believe, all that kind of stuff. And she told me, she's like, I'd rather you go through this now. So that way, if you decide in the future you want to remain in the church and worship and everything, like you don't have to go through all of the RCIA stuff and get like rebaptized and reconfirm and all that kind of stuff. She's like, it's easier to do it now and respect that versus having to redo everything later on if you choose that this is what you decide. And that was another reason because I know like I like bounce back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, wow, I'm like going to go to church this weekend. Sometimes I'm like, no, I'm done. Like, this is not happening. This is a cult. So it's, I
have varying opinions about religion, but we're not going to go into that because
it's not but I was
going
gonna say it's not a thing, but that was another reason. Cause I was like, if we want to have kids and we want them to be baptized, if we aren't married in the church, is that going to cause a problem? All that kind of stuff. So we originally asked Chris's uncle, who's a deacon, if he would marry us. However, because he's in a different archdiocese than where we got married, he would not have been able to marry us if we weren't in a church.
Yeah, fun fact, the Archdiocese of Baltimore allows a special request to get married outside of the physical church but have it recognized by the church.
There are only like 2 or 3 archdioceses in the entire country that allow for that, and Baltimore is one of them.
And I'm not going to ignore that. Like, Jamie just smacked the crap out of the microphone.
I don't know what you're talking about.
As if that microphone went and stole some cash from her. She just backhanded that thing like a pro.
Listen, I want my money.
That's all all the bobbling that you heard.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Listen, okay, the where my drink is placed in regard to my microphone is just not conducive.
We should get some cup holders that drop over. Oh,
you
okay.
should 3D print
we're gonna
some
3D
cup
print
holders.
Yep.
Anyway,
New video idea.
but we asked Uncle Jim. Uncle Jim wasn't able to because of the whole archdiocese thing. But then we also have a family friend, Deacon Mark, who, like, his daughter played volleyball for my dad. Like, him and his wife, Miss Sandy, and my parents, like, they go way back. So we talked to him, and he was more than happy to do it for us. And he was the one who ended up marrying us. We went through the whole pre-Cana and everything. And I had no problem with Deacon Mark. I was afraid when we first met him that Chris was going to be like, absolutely not.
Deacon Mark is super chill. Like, after the first few times that we talked to him, I was telling Jamie that, maybe at this point in my life, I would have a different view on religion if I were, going to classes, or, like, I went to CCD as a child and stuff like that. If I went to, religious education classes that were taught by Deacon Mark, it would have totally changed my viewpoint.
We'll definitely have to do
religion.
an entire episode on religion, because CCD classes versus, you heard me and Jake talking about our religion teachers in high school.
Well, so, like, your churches in Maryland, we went to church one time with your parents, and the Catholic Church was so much more chill than, like, you've been to our church.
I've been for holidays.
We might have went to the other one. I don't know if you've ever been to...
I haven't been to St. Stan's.
Yeah, but, like, it's just such, like, very, very
stuffy
old school church. Like, yeah.
And it is very different. So the church, we're gonna have to... Okay, we're just gonna table this, because I could literally...
for another episode.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a whole episode on religion.
Okay. So we got our officiant, we got our bridal party, everything's good.
Oh, also, I wanted to say, when it came to we didn't have ring bearer or flower girl or ushers or anything like that. However, the bridesmaids and groomsmen did get, like, little boxes, like, will you be my bridesmaid and will you be my groomsman? Which is not necessary, but I really enjoyed making those boxes. I really enjoyed making those boxes because, as I've said before, I really enjoy gift giving. I love giving people gifts, and that's...
Yeah, so this is another thing when it comes to budget. Like, we made all these special boxes for the whole bridal party to ask them to be part of the wedding, and then we also gave them gifts, which I think is... Like, that was not standard when my parents got married. But
no, none of it is.
Now all of this stuff is starting to become a standard. But, it makes you think that, like, what, and then it probably makes people who can't afford to do that feel bad about their wedding. I don't know. Like, I just, like...
It's all so...
Like, it's all so expensive. Like, we should just trash all the rest of these new traditions because...
It is very expensive.
Let's enjoy the day.
When it comes to the gifts, this is going to sound super ridiculous, but that was more for me being able to show that I appreciate all of them, like, standing by us on our big day, give them things to help, like, get them through the big day and things that they can use. And I don't know. I enjoy gift giving, so that was just as much for them as it was for me, including gifts for my parents and your parents.
Oh man, this is going to take forever to get through. All right, so now we're moving down to the next subsection here, and it says ordering a wedding dress, but I mean, like, really, it's like a whole process of trial and error, right?
It is, and it isn't. I was very lucky. I literally went into the first bridal shop. It was your mom, my mom, and my maid of honor.
Which that meant a lot to my mom, I think, to be a part of that, because my mom has 2 boys. She'll never experience that in her life except for that occurrence with you, and possibly, whenever Barry gets married, possibly, maybe not, depending on the bride.
And I felt bad because I felt like she was just trying to, like, distance herself and, like, give us time, but it's like she's like my second mom, like she is, but
I know. I think that also, like, back in her day when she got married, I think that it was a very daughter mom type of bonding moment, and I don't necessarily think back in her day when she would go to try and find a wedding dress did the mother-in-law come with. So I think she was glad to be part of it, but she was also trying to give some distance to you and your mom to have like those special moments as well together. So I think that's where that came from, but I don't know.
That's
You could
fair.
talk to her about it.
Honestly, like I said, I got
So
very
how many
lucky.
dresses did you try on?
Did I try on? I think maybe 6 or 7
And
in one bridal shop. I
okay,
had appointments at 2 bridal shops. I went in, I tried, and this bridal shop was great. They gave me a list of things. They were like, "Tell us what you like and what you don't like, so we have an idea of what gown we're looking for when you come in." Gave them my list. I went in. They gave me 2 dresses that fit what I liked, like what I thought I liked, but I didn't really like them. The third one I tried on was a lot more comfortable, and I loved it. It ended up being my wedding dress.
okay. So number 3 was
Number
the
3 was the one that I tried. I think I tried on 6 or 7, and I ended up going back to that one.
Oh my god!
Can't-
Just to take a little side chat real quick. I used to watch Say Yes to the Dress with my mom because she would always have it on the TV, and
It's a good show.
I would sit down and not, I don't really care about what's on TV. I just watch it. And man, some of these women go through 30 dresses. It's crazy. Such a waste of time.
Yeah, but I got very lucky. I actually ended up canceled my dress appointment at the second bridal shop that I was supposed to go to, and we went to lunch instead.
Yeah, I remember that. So wedding dress, super easy. I just for the first time today saw a picture of you holding the sign saying I said yes to the dress.
Yeah.
Which I want that picture, by the way.
Okay.
All right, next, dress accessories we don't care about.
Etsy.
Bridesmaid dresses. I think that you took a different approach than most people probably do.
I did. So I know a lot of people have take their bridesmaids to the bridal shop, have them try on all the dresses and say, okay, this is the color or this is the style and go from there. Like I said, a lot of this was done during COVID. So that was problem number 1.
I'm going to go grab some more whiskey.
Okay.
But continue,
I
because I can hear you.
I will continue talking. Don't fret. So when I got my bridesmaids, when I picked them, when I gave them all their boxes and everything, I had 2 in Maryland, 1 in Philly, 1 in Vermont, 1 in Texas, 1 in Florida. So when it came to trying to get, you add all the different states plus COVID, there was no way we are all going to be able to get together on a weekend to go dress shopping. But when I was in my friend Mary's wedding, we ordered our dresses online. Well, I ordered my dress online from this website that was super helpful. They had such a large selection of dresses. So what I did is I went back to that site. I picked out like 17 or 18 dresses for all of my girls. And I invited them all to the little dressing room or fitting room, whatever they called it, and was like, okay, this is the color we're doing. I went and I picked out the color that we were doing. I told them all, I was like, you all can either do the same bridesmaid dress or you all can do a different bridesmaid dress. It has to be one of these 18 because they had like 200 plus styles on the website.
But 2 were not allowed to be the same unless they were all the same. Right?
It was all the same or all different. And the reason I did that is because I didn't want 2 people in one, 2 people in one. I didn't want it to look weird. Like I told you, I like symmetry. I like things to be relatively
kind of, right? I mean, it's kind of symmetry if they all match, but it's not symmetry if they're not all matched. But you want consistency.
I want consistency, yes. Yeah. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for.
Yep.
But I liked the consistency of all or none.
Yep.
And so that's what I did. And I sent it out, and it was really nice because the website we chose, the girls could order a dress for $5 to try it on at home, try it on in different sizes and see what happened, try on different styles if they wanted. And a lot of my girls have different body types. Some of them are top heavy, some of them are bottom heavy, some are pear versus apple. I don't know what all the body shapes are, but I know it's very difficult to find one dress that 6 girls will feel comfortable and confident in and also like look good in. And I don't want them to feel bad. I don't want them to feel, yeah, I mean, we got our hair and makeup done. Like, we're having professional photos. I want them to be able to see the pictures from my wedding and be like, oh, yeah, I really liked that. Even if it's just like the candid ones on the dance floor. Like, oh, yeah, I felt comfortable in that. And not be like, oh, I don't want to look at it. So that was my requirement for my girls. I had already picked out the color, and I gave them a multitude of dresses to pick from compared to how many girls there were. And it all turned out, they all gravitated to a different dress even, which was really nice. I think there was only maybe one or two that overlapped in their top 3 pick of dresses.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, for sure. That was probably a little like not super stressful for you as the bride, which was nice.
It wasn't. It was really,
everybody got what they wanted.
everyone got what they wanted. It was easy for me to just sit there while I was watching TV and just scroll through the dresses that I liked, and or all the dresses, and if I liked it, I just hit the like heart button, and if I didn't like it, I just kept scrolling until I'd gone through all the dresses.
Boom, easy.
Nice and easy.
And then on the flip side, which I don't see it on the sheet yet, but for the men, we decided to have the men buy suits. We found
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I feel like just telling guys they have to buy suits, I feel like saying it sounds like taboo and controversial because it's like, oh, well, they only need to rent. But
yeah, so here's the deal. I've been in many weddings where I've had to rent suits, or I have to rent a tux. I would say that the average cost now is between, I don't know, $180 to $220, depending on what kind of suit it is or what they pick out for their options. And I think we talked about this in maybe the last episode we recorded. I don't remember. Like, I feel like
with the Bachelor or Bachelorettes.
Yeah, I think we brought this up, but typically you have to pick up your suit maybe a day or two before the wedding, and then you have to return it the day after the wedding, for most suit shops, or there's an extra fee associated with it. You have to worry about staining it or if you damage the suit at all. And like I said, average price $180 to $220. We looked at Kohl's and Macy's for sales on suits. We reached out to all of our groomsmen and our fathers because they wore the same suits, and we got everybody's sizes, and then we waited to find a suit that we liked at Macy's or at JCPenney's.
So we ended up doing Kohl's. Well, I was looking at all of your big box department stores, but we ended up going with Kohl's.
And I think we went to one to look at the suits, right?
We went to one to look at the suits, and Chris is like, well, let me try them on because it's slim fit. And how kind of slim fit is it? Now, this was middle of COVID when the dressing rooms were closed.
Yeah, dressing rooms were closed. And I'm like, screw this. I'm trying to find suits for my damn wedding. So I start pulling my pants down right in the middle of the aisle.
Meanwhile, myself and his mom are like standing there trying to look inconspicuous, but also shield him from like any workers that might come by and be like, sir, you can't strip in the middle of the
I don't
suit
give a
section.
damn. I mean, I am a customer with money in my pocket. Well, my pocket's on the floor though, because my pants are on the floor, but I have money on me. And I'm going to try on the suit to make sure that it fits the way that you want it to fit for the wedding. Anyway, we went to one of these big box chains, made sure that we liked the look of the suit. And then once we found the suit that we wanted, we waited for a sale. I forget how much our groomsmen ended up paying, but it was definitely under 180. It was probably like 120.
It was anywhere between 120 and 150 depending on the coupons and if you had a Kohl's card or not a Kohl's card, because that just ended up bringing the price down more.
Yeah, so we sent them a link to the suit and we're like, you need to buy this. It's currently on sale. Here's a coupon code to get the discount. And then we were like, if you don't get it when it's discounted, like, this is the suit, so you're going to have to buy it. It kind of forced all the groomsmen to buy it around the same time, which was nice because, then we kind of were relieved of stress knowing that everybody had their suits already. There was, extra stress with, Barry had to try on, like, a ton of different pants or jackets because something didn't fit him right.
My brother was the same way. So I think they originally ordered a certain size for either Zach or Jake, and it just didn't fit the way it was supposed to fit. That was a smart move.
Lava is currently digging through the blanket that was on me, so now I just threw it on top of her.
Yeah, we talking about you. Just ma'am. But I know for Zach, it was either Zach or Jake, but they tried on what they ordered and it just didn't fit. They needed a different size. But the nice thing was that because they already purchased it on sale, it was just a size exchange instead of a return and having to like pay more for it, which was nice. And then also when the girls all ordered their dresses, I ordered the vests, the ties, and the pocket squares for all of the guys because I wanted all the guys to have pocket squares. But also I wanted to make sure all of this vests and ties and pocket squares came from the same dye lot as the girls' dresses.
And you didn't charge any of the guys for that, right?
I didn't.
That was all out of pocket.
That was all out of pocket.
Yeah.
Again,
Sometimes
another
you
unnecessary cost.
No, but like, you could divide that among the groomsmen or whatever. Like, we had it in the budget, so.
Yeah, it wasn't that was part of their gift.
Yeah, so after that it says gifts for wedding party, gifts for bride and groom. So like we already talked about it. Like we got just little bags for the groomsmen, which had some little things like a flask and
It had a flask,
a small bottle of alcohol. It had a cigar. It
did not have a
Oh, it didn't have a cigar,
no,
but it had a cigar cutter.
It had a cigar cutter, and it had a Zippo lighter without the butane in it.
Yeah, I forgot all these things. Little things that happened a few days before the wedding.
It's so chaotic going up to it. But I mean, everything, they had a bottle opener in there. All of the groomsmen and bridesmaids got sunglasses. The bridesmaids, I got them pajamas with their initials on it. They got a water bottle, or like a tumbler. It wasn't a water bottle, it was a tumbler. They got a bag. It was just like different things like that they can use over and over again. One thing I do recommend is when you do gifts or anything, do something more with initials or names instead of saying bridesmaid, groomsman, maid of honor, something like that. Just because I feel as though as soon as you put that on it, it's a lot less likely to be worn after the fact. Whereas if it's their name or initials, it's more likely to be used.
I think that's just like a way of thinking that we had as well for the wedding. Like everything that our groomsmen or bridesmaids kind of had to invest into the wedding, plus anything that we gave them, we wanted them to have a use for it afterwards. So like the suits, the groomsmen have those suits. They can use those for other weddings if they need to, or any other event that they would have to wear a suit to. I'm sure some of them have probably nicer suits than that, but for people like my brother, it's probably the best suit that he has. So
yeah, and it's nice. I know a lot of guys don't buy suits once you hit a certain point because they're like, I have a suit from 5 years ago. It doesn't always fit as well, but you don't wear it that often, so it's not as big a deal. But now they all have a nice suit that fits them.
Yeah, a little suit refresh,
Yeah.
Oh,
do you want to talk about gifts for us?
So I was getting there, and then like you said, all of the gifts that we gave them, none of them said like groomsmen or best man or anything. All of them had their names engraved on them. Oh, we gave whiskey glasses to the guys too.
All the guys got a set of whiskey glasses that had their name engraved on it.
Their last name.
Yeah, their last name on it. I think Jason got an extra one because they spelled his last name wrong.
Yeah, if you have a complicated last name, and his isn't even that complicated, but if you have something that can be misspelled easily, then you might even get a free set.
Which is exactly what happened. I got Chris from the same company that I got the whiskey glasses from. I got Chris a set of pint glasses for Christmas.
And they flipped 2 letters in our last name.
Yes, then they sent us one with the wrong last name. And so now we have Yes,
we
ma'am.
we have 8 of those now.
We do 4 correct and 4 incorrect.
Yes, and nobody even notices. So
Nope.
it's totally cool. I'm actually drinking out of one of those whiskey glasses myself.
And we have the decanter that matches it. That
We do. We do.
I think is nice.
So before we get to our gifts, and I think we'll wrap it up here after the gifts.
Okay.
But parents' gifts.
Parents' gifts, I don't know what your thoughts were on them. I know going into it, I was like, we were getting our parents' gifts. I mean, they've gotten us to this day. My parents helped out a lot with paying for it, and they were both there really to help out with planning and everything, especially helping us talk through things. So I don't know what your thoughts were, but I knew I wanted to get everyone a gift.
Yeah, I think that you handled the gifts.
I
the
did.
most,
You're
so-
I think the most difficult one
It's hard to find something for my dad.
was your dad. I was gonna say my dad, and it's easy for me because I'm being the only girl. Like I got your mom and my mom both a necklace
Yep.
that was like mom or mother-in-law or whatever, and had a cute little saying that went with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got my mom. On Etsy there was a girl who did like drawings of like the back of you. So I sent her pictures of the back of my dress and how I was going to do my hair for the wedding. Same with my mom. I sent her pictures of the back of my mom's dress, her hair, how she was going to have her hair done for the wedding, plus pictures of me and her together. So she kind of knew height difference and hair color and all that stuff. There was like a cute little saying underneath, but she like drew the like us with our like arms around each other from the back, which my mom has hanging up next to our front door. And then my dad was easy because I know he always wears a watch. So I got him a new watch that on the back was engraved, "I'll always be your little girl," or something like that. And then I got him a tie that on the back where
Oh
I
my
just hit it. I'm
gosh.
sorry.
I mean, smacking this thing like it
Listen.
owes you money. I mean, man.
But on the back of the tie, I was able to get them like right in the little diamond at the bottom of the tie where the fabric comes in. I was able to find someone that puts like a picture inside that little triangle. So I got a picture of me and my dad at the beach when I was like really little. Put that in there.
I can't imagine owing you money. Man, just slap the shit out of me. Yeah, and then my mom, did you get her a picture frame, I think?
I think so. I did get your mom a picture frame, but I can't remember if it was for your mom or your dad or like
No,
combined.
Yeah, you got him a picture frame, and it had the picture of me
You and Teddy.
pulling the suitcase with Teddy in it.
And then I left a blank spot for a picture of you guys at
Yeah,
the wedding.
I think she put a photo of us dancing when it was like the mother-son dance.
That's a good one.
So then,
What did we get your dad?
was it a tie clip? Maybe.
I don't remember.
Dang.
It probably was a tie. It may have been a tie clip. But I feel like we got him something else too. But I remember that was the most difficult thing trying
Like
to
my
figure
dad,
out.
Yeah, so my dad with the watch, like you can't get him a watch because he wears like $10 watches from Walmart, and he won't go any other way. I mean,
Well, he doesn't have keyboard fingers like you do or my dad. So like his watches, a lot of the stuff that he would wear to work has to be ready for wear and tear, or it has to be cheap so when it breaks it's not that big a deal.
very true, very true. Yep, me and my little keyboard fingers. Tip, 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 tip. So yeah, let's go to our gifts here. So this was complicated because I really didn't know, where, like we were already spending so much money for the wedding. I was like, where do we go for gifts for each other?
So I know what kicked the whole thing off for like us doing gifts for each other was the photographer that we hired. She was doing boudoir sessions. And I was like, you know what? I kind of want to do that. So I booked one and everything and did everything. We went and had it. I had a blast.
I've never even heard of that word before.
I highly recommend it solely, if not even to give to anyone, but just for yourself to like give yourself confidence to boost. Highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. But additionally, when I paid our video or our photographer for it, I like got a text or something because I Venmo'd her, and Chris looked at my phone when I like had set it down, and he's like, "You spent XYZ amount on this? Like, what the heck?" And I was like, "It's for your wedding gift." And he's like, "We're doing gifts for each other for the wedding too? That's something else I gotta think about." And I was like, "Well, like you don't have to, but like I wanted to get this for you." And he's like, now I have to find something else." And
Okay, I I don't sound that angry. I'm not
it
angry.
wasn't angry. It was just like exasperation, because you're like, we're already spending so much on this wedding, and we're already getting gifts for everyone, and I already have to get gifts for you for Christmas, and it was, of course, it was right around Christmas when this happened. He's like, now I got to find another gift for you. I just spent X amount on your engagement ring. Now we have this big ticket wedding coming up. Like,
That reminds me, we didn't do an episode on finances, but we'll get there. We'll get there. And
we got plenty of time to talk.
This will come
babe.
back up. But yeah, I remember seeing that, and I was like, oh, damn. Like, she spent a lot of money for something, and I was like, oh, no. I don't even have anything yet.
The thing was, I didn't even know if he was going to like what I was giving him.
I didn't even know that you were supposed to give a gift on the day of your wedding.
Again, it's an optional thing, but you found out when you were in another wedding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you were there when the groom opened the gift, and you were like, "You have to give gifts too?" Like, what?
Yeah, seriously.
And I know that blindsided you.
Yeah, I mean, man, yeah. I guess I'm old school, and
very traditional.
Yeah. So, so yeah, for your gift, I thought that it would be appropriate to get you some piece of jewelry. I didn't know what kind of jewelry at first, and I already had to get you a ring. So I was like, that's off the table. And I was like, pinky ring? Maybe? No, I don't. You don't seem like the pinky ring type of girl.
Should have gone with the toe ring.
That's what I was gonna say. Oh my gosh, a toe ring. That sounds great. But then I was like, I won't be able to see it if it's on your toe. For the most part, unless you're wearing sandals, then maybe I would get to see it.
Oh my gosh.
So then, I was shopping for necklaces. And that's where I landed on the necklace that you wear to this day, which you're not I feel like you don't wear necklaces other than that one.
I don't. I'm not a jewelry wearer. But this one, I used to take off when I showered. But then it got so annoying with like my nails and everything. I was like, forget it. I'm just going to leave it on. So I don't even take it off to shower. I wear this thing 24/7.
Wow. I think you replaced the chain, though, because you mentioned that to your mom the other day, and I had no idea. But
I did replace the chain because I think the original chain was just a little shorter than this one. So I got one that was just a little longer so it would hang lower.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I don't take this off anymore.
It is a heart-shaped necklace.
It is. It's a little like heart-shaped necklace with diamonds on it.
It is, yes.
It's very simple, but I've gotten a lot of very good compliments on it. Everyone compliments your taste in jewelry.
I know.
Between the necklace and the ring.
I really didn't know if you were going to like it. I actually had to send a picture of it to your mom and ask if she would like it. And then your mom was like, oh, yeah, she'll be fine.
Yeah.
I was like, would your daughter like this diamond necklace? Yeah.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah. But she did warn me that you weren't going to wear it on our wedding day, which is totally fine. I think you were wearing gold.
I was wearing gold, which is very out of character for me. I don't wear gold very often. However, I don't remember why I decided to wear gold that day.
Was it not? You weren't wearing a piece of Jane's jewelry?
I think so. I was going to wear Jane's emerald earrings that were gold with the necklace, but I think when it came closer, I was too afraid to wear the earrings.
You didn't want to lose them.
Because I was afraid I was going to lose them. So I think instead they ended up, I don't remember if they ended up in the bouquet or not. Like around the bouquet. But if they did, so that's why I originally got gold. But then I decided against it because I didn't want to lose them. That's why I'm terrified to wear them, because I don't want to lose them.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable.
It is very understandable, but at the same time, I feel like it defeats the purpose of having them. You know what I mean?
I guess, but
I
I don't know. It's always something to look at and remember, though.
That is
As
true.
well.
That is true.
Like that, it's a little different. Like I could say the same thing about an expensive piece of jewelry, like your engagement ring. It's like, what if you were scared? Oh, your engagement ring means something, though. I'm trying to think, like, somebody who's like really wealthy, right, could have a expensive piece of jewelry, and then them saying like, "Oh, I don't want to wear this because I'm afraid I'm gonna lose it." Like, there's no emotional meaning to the jewelry at all. So, like, why do you have it?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't, because there's a sentimental value to it, and I don't know if all three people who are listening know this. Aunt Jane was my aunt. She's my dad's youngest sister, who died when I was 6 of breast cancer. But when she died, she willed off a piece of jewelry to all of her nieces. So I think it was when I turned 16. I was either 13 or I think I was 16. And Uncle Dave gave me those emerald earrings. They were gold, like gold with just the simple emerald stone.
Yeah. So there's such a emotional connection to those earrings that like it's okay for you to not wear them because you don't want to lose them.
Yeah.
And then just seeing them reminds you of Jane.
But I did have anyway, that's a story for a later date. I was going to talk about Pony in the bouquet.
Oh yeah. So I think that's where we're going to end it. We've been talking for like an hour about this stuff, and we are about here on the sheet, which is about halfway down the first column. So yeah, we'll probably make another episode or maybe 2 about this. We'll see. I'm already feeling a bit buzzed from the whiskey.
All right, I got to go make dinner.
To be totally honest. So yeah, we're going to go eat dinner, which your brother Jake sent us a recipe to our email.
Jake sent us a recipe. If anyone else wants to send us a recipe for food for us to try, any cocktail recipes, anything like that, send it on over to diariesofaworkingcouple@gmail.com or slide into our DMs on Instagram @diariesofaworkingcouple.
Look at that. That was, wow, you said that so good. Yeah, for sure. So I think we're going to make Jake's recipe.
We are going to make, so we're going to make Jake's recipe. We're going to make Jake's chicken, but we're also going to make, I talked to Jake earlier this week about the air fried Brussels sprouts that I make.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I'm not doing something right. So I'm going to, on the next episode, give you guys a quick, brief rundown of how I make these air fried Brussels sprouts, because I don't like Brussels sprouts and I think these are really good.
Nice. So yeah, we're going to eat that, and then we're going to come back and record the next episode. We'll give a little update on Jake's chicken.
Yes.
Along with some Brussels sprouts.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, thanks for listening.
All right, guys. See you next time.
All right, bye.